Hi.
Hey, hey.
Let me fix this really quick. Okay, cool. Awesome. Your hair looks so good. Hey,
Oh, thanks. And yours all no nice wet wait.
I had to do it real quick so that I wouldn't, look all crazy on this live this Friday evening. Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode on Beyond the Barbell with your hosts, Larhanna Robinson and Nicole Zenobia Graham. Today, we have a special guest. She used to be an IFBB Figure Pro, and she is now an IFBB Wellness Pro.
Yes, so super excited to have her on today. I mean, first of all, amazing accomplishment switching from figure to wellness. It's definitely no easy task. I can't wait to talk to her and really have her tell us exactly what wellness is, because I do think it is a division that a lot of people misconstrue, and a lot of people really don't know exactly what the division actually is and what the criteria actually is. So really looking forward to talking to her about that. She's qualified for the Olympia. This is actually, I believe, her second time going to the Olympia, but first time going as wellness pro. She's also the first African American to be qualified for the Olympia wellness. So that is a pretty awesome accomplishment as well.
That's freaking dope. I mean, not only doing it, and then you're the first African American woman to, be qualified to the Olympia.
Thank you.
Both of us did the 2019 Tampa with her. I remember she got first call outs because I was standing right next to her. I remember that. Let me put her in right now. Hold on. Any minute now. Let's see. All right. I requested it, so we'll see. Yeah, but it's figure to wellness is no easy task, and it does get lost completely because, like, I don't know how it is in Atlanta, but in Houston, whenever you go to the local shows, um, wellness girls can be, shredded, like the ones that don't make it in bikini, or it'll be like women that just got their boobs done, and they think that they're ready to compete. So, hi, Deb,
Her,
Hello.
coming on.
I got legs and I can do wellness, and that's not quite it. But let's not do that. Let's let Miss Devone Martin tell you that.
How are you guys?
Good.
Good. How are
Good, good, good. Living my life.
You're so pretty. First of all, tell everybody how to say your name because my name gets messed up all the time. I literally told Z to voice to text me your name so I don't say it wrong. But just tell everybody how you say your name, what you go by.
It's Devone,
Okay.
but everyone calls me Dev. So short and simple, Dev.
Okay. So
you? Okay.
this platform for Z and I is mainly for the figure division, to bring a platform to the figure girls, but we have lost a lot of our figure girls because of the wellness category, and we want to first
Hmm.
talk to you a little bit about you as a figure competitor. So could you tell
Yeah,
us a little bit about your how long you were competing as a figure competitor before
yeah.
you switched over to wellness?
Well, I competed I started competing in like 2015. My like kind of career kind of went very quick. So like in a sense, like I did a show. I think my first show I got like fourth or fifth. My second show I took overall. And then I went to junior nationals and I took overall. And then I did my rookie season in figure and I went to the Olympia. But I was not consistent. So I stopped competing. I think I didn't compete again until like 2019, which is the year I think I competed with you guys at Tampa. But that was my last show in figure, was actually Tampa in 2019. And I was kind of like, okay. At the time, I was like, okay, I'm kind of going to be done with bodybuilding. Um, my thing was just probably just to stick with coaching and maybe and eventually, you know, try to dab into some judging. But I guess wellness division kind of fell into my lap. I remember running into Z at Extreme. Was it Christmas Eve? I think it was Christmas Eve. I was working out with Bo and we ran into each other. She's like, "Why don't you do wellness?" And I was like, "I don't know." Here I am doing wellness. But I definitely remember that because I was like, she's like, "You're not going to compete anymore?" And I was like, "No, I don't think so." And then she was like, "Yeah, you should try wellness." And I was like, "I don't know. We'll see."
Legs,
And then
man.
look. Yeah, but I definitely remember
I
that.
knew that you would be a perfect fit. I mean, you've always had these crazy freaking legs. So, I mean, obviously, yes, it's a transition to go from figure to wellness, but I mean, you had the base.
Yeah. Um, for sure. I think that was like one of the biggest like easiest decisions for me at the same time. It was just very hard doing wellness, not wellness, doing figure and staying proportionate. So I honestly when I it's the opposite now, which is very funny, but when I trained for figure, I didn't really train my legs at all. My conditioning came through just cardio. So I was like a damn near marathon runner when I did when I did figure, but then now I do wellness and I barely touch my upper body, but the size, like the muscle's still there, the density's still there. It doesn't like atrophy, it doesn't happen that fast. So, naturally it's come down or whatever. But yeah, it's like the total opposite. So it was one of those things like it was really hard for me to stay in figure because my legs just were so overpowering. Like I just had and I don't want to say overpower my physique. I think I still had like, semi decent symmetry, but it was just very hard to keep my upper body proportionate to my lower body when I'm doing a shit ton of cardio all the time and not necessarily doing weight training with my legs. So it was kind of like it was a different twist, and now it's the opposite.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so do you like the difference in training? Do you enjoy it?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, like, it's interesting how like I naturally already had big legs, but then like actually putting the work into making them bigger. It's kind of funny. So it's interesting. It's a process. I do a lot more recovery now because I do so much leg training. So I
Right.
have to like stay up on top of recovery. I think that's like the most important thing. I feel like you should do it in any division, but I think I've really adapted it in the wellness division because my legs are just constantly just lots of pound, a lot of work, and hip imbalances easily come. So I'm constantly just making sure like I'm getting stretched out. Once out the week, deep tissue, or I'm doing some form of therapy, like whether it's acupuncture, cupping, Graston, like just really making sure that I'm not keeping too much scar tissue in my legs.
Right, and you're really recovering them because now your main focus is on your legs for the lower part. So
Yeah.
we were saying how as a figure competitor it was a little bit harder for you because just keeping the balance, you trained upper body equally as your lower body, and now that you're
Yeah.
well or lower body focused is what you're
Right.
saying. So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
whenever you were a figure competitor though, you were still very like you were still
Competitive.
an athlete, you were still
Yeah.
top,
Yeah. Yeah.
still competitive.
Yeah, which is like I know, and I always get like, why'd you switch if you did so well in figure? I think I just saw the longevity in it when I in 2019. I kind of got off stage and I was kind of like, yeah, this is not gonna work for me.
Right.
And it wasn't even me thinking in the direction of let me go do wellness. It was
Mm-hmm.
more in the sense I just knew my genetics. I mean, like naturally, you and Z have crazy wide frames. Like you could tell like she was a gymnast. I'm not sure what your like background, but I'm pretty sure like you had some form of like or swimming. Like you have natural wide clavicles, frames, like just
With
natural V tapers, And I
yeah,
think that that as much as people like not to say like genetics don't play a part of it, genetics plus hard work play a huge part of it. And you can be
right.
very successful when you have those prime genetics and that work ethic. You can be a great athlete. And I think that is like kind of why I went to wellness because I was like, okay, maybe I could be great in this, not necessarily, because I have that foundation, I have that base. So I
Right.
think it's always important to like look at that. Where is your base? Where do your genetics kind of like lean you towards? Because there is a lot of categories for women in wellness. I mean, not wellness in IFBB or in
Oh,
NPC in general. Yeah, there's a lot of divisions. So you can really look, and I know it's probably hard for competitors, like, which division am I? You know, especially when like a lot of them intertwine. So you're kind of like, I don't know, like, do I have enough density for this division, or do I have enough like structure for this division? Do I build to go to this division? And I think it can get very, you know, kind of confusing. People can get like a little lost in the sauce, but I think, you know, eventually the more you study the sport, the more
Mhm.
you look at the competitors in the sport, the more you understand the sport and how to train properly for your division, it becomes an easier decision where you should be at in the division.
absolutely. I mean, I can't with that. You know, for athletes to really just take the time. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I understand that some of us just really just love, you know, the other divisions. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, genetics do, you know, I hate to say it, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. Genetics do play a role. It's not to say that, you know, somebody can outwork somebody with genetics. Absolutely. You know, the
Right.
person still needs to work hard, but you should really take the time to look at who these top athletes are in each of these divisions. Take your photos. Structurally, where do you really line up
Fit
at?
in. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Right.
absolutely.
And you can't really like you won't know your structure until you've reached your leanest body. You know, you
A
can't see
100%. I tell people that all the
a
time.
person that's body fat and say your physique. You won't know until you really get to see what the muscle in the
Yeah,
skin looks like. Then you can figure out, do I have a wide enough back, like you're saying? Because yes, absolutely 100% genetics play a role. Yeah, you might be able to get away with your hard work and your work ethic, winning at a local pro show, but when you get to the Olympia, we all know it's shape, genetic, it's the total package. So if you really want to
it
be
is.
in the world, you have to, like both are saying, look at your genetics, look at the structure of what each category requires, and
Yeah.
coach that can help you build to that. So what about the figure? So in 2019, when you were like, okay, I'm done, with figure, other than like, is there any specific reason that you stopped doing figure? Like, what drew you away from it completely?
Honestly, it was just the training. Like I said, I was a marathon runner. I was running like,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, anyone that lives in New York and Westchester area knew like I was like running a lot. Like I was
Oh,
putting like 6 to 7 miles per a day, and I would log it. I would put this on Instagram, so I'm true to my testimony, and
yeah.
that literally really did help me bring my condition in. But I just knew like deep down inside, like those joints of mine, my knees, they were not rocking with it. And I played softball growing up, and I was a competitive cheerleader. So it's just like all that on top of that and running a lot, it was just like, okay, I need to stop. Like,
Dude, I watch your videos, and this is like before like we met and I got to know you and everything. And every time I see these crazy, I'm like, yo, she's freaking awesome. Like you see all this stuff she does, and then you see her just lifting it out, pounding it out in the gym. I'm like, holy
takes
freaking
a
crap.
lot on the body though.
You know,
So
It
what
does, it
what
does.
for bodybuilding? Because I don't want everybody just to think, you woke up this way and your legs were, built this way because your mom you birthed you with those genetics.
Yeah.
What was your previous background before you got into bodybuilding, and what drew you to
Um,
body?
Honestly, so I really, my bodybuilding journey, like when I started meeting bodybuilders, I was probably like 19, 18. And I was working at a Gold's Gym in Elk Grove, California. And a lot of like the bodybuilders that were big back then would like come in the gym and stuff. And they're like, oh, you have great structure. You used to compete. And I was like, what's competing? I started, they like send me a Flex magazine on the low and the front
Yeah.
desk. I'm like, look at this. And then they were like, you should really give it a try. So I honestly didn't start then. I like was familiar with it then. I didn't really start competing until I was like 25. I'm 32 now, so that was really my like first like initiation to bodybuilding, where I kind of like was like, okay, maybe this is something I can give a go. But I back then, that was when I first like learned about it. And I don't even think I really understood the divisions then. It was just like, okay, let's try to put some muscle on, or tailor your physique. Back then, you could tell me nothing. I thought I was gonna do bikini, but these legs were never gonna be bikini.
bikini,
These
okay.
legs were never gonna be bikini. Never.
I would never do
Ne-
it.
they were never gonna be bikini.
You
But
started. What year was that, and what year did you transition to figure?
oh, I never started bikini. No, I said you couldn't tell me
You
anything back
thought
then.
of it,
I thought.
really?
But yeah, yeah. But no,
Wow.
I think that was like the only division I was really familiar with at the time. Like I don't think I knew so much about like bodybuilding itself back then. I was like very, very fresh and green to the sport itself. I just like seeing brolic people come in the gym and they were like, "Hey, you got a great physique. You can do this." And I'm like, not really. And I'm still doing like my performance workouts and stuff like that. I wasn't really like doing anything like a bodybuilding split or anything like that. But they're just like, you should really give it a try. You'll probably be really good at it. And then yeah, it
Right.
just so happened it fell into my lap.
Right.
Yeah, I started competing like towards I was like getting out of grad school. I was went to Howard, and that's when I really started like diving into to bodybuilding. I per
Man,
se like try and figure and stuff.
man. So
Yeah.
you just got
And
out.
I would shout out to Carrie Bradshaw. She actually just switched to wellness too. But she inspired me because we were really good friends in college. Actually, everyone used to mix us up. They used to
Mhm.
like call me Carrie and call her Dev, and we were like, "No, I'm Dev. That's Carrie." But she started competing, and I used to be like, "Wow, like you look amazing! Like, what did
Yeah.
you do?" And she cheered for Howard too. So when she started competing, I just really got into it through her, and then again, it just took off from there.
Yeah, because I remember you like everywhere. I think like I had seen you. I don't know if it was in Florida, but I think like that. What is his name?
Oh, Mike Rashid, yeah.
Yeah,
I used to be with Iron Addicts. Yes, yes,
yep, yep. And that was
yeah.
the first time I had found out who you were, and I was like, "Holy crap, this chick is freaking awesome!" Like,
You
Yeah,
are
back
a
in the day.
huge difference in posing when it comes to figure and
Oh
wellness.
yeah,
And you
oh
said you
yeah.
have stage in figure since 2019.
19. Yeah,
So
yeah.
posing, from then until now, how is it for you? Because I love posing. Both Z and I, we love posing. But
Yeah, like
how do you feel about wellness posing versus figure posing?
okay, it is a lot more sexual. Like you got to be that sexual beast. You gotta that's good. That's good.
Yes, you do.
No, but it is. It's very, very sexual, and it at first, it was an adjustment for me. Like, more so because not that figure is not figure is elegancy. Like, like it's very like I still to this day I find figure to be the perfect physique. Like you are symmetric from top to bottom. You have this like V like a natural like it's an hourglass. Like it's that V shaped hourglass structure. But it's very more elegant and poised. I feel like yes, wellness can be poised, but it's very sexual. It's like you're like I'm giving you the eye fuck. And that's like it's like
No,
you're basically like you're like you're bending over backwards
yeah,
and open
yeah,
it up and it's like
for real.
it's different. It's different. It's different.
It is because you have to use your hair, all that for
Yeah,
figure.
yeah.
Hair, I
mhm.
can't cover anything. Like no long hair. I cut my hair just so that I don't cover my shoulder caps. That's how dedicated I
Yeah.
am for it. But wellness, you're right. You have to be in your heels. You have like I look at y'all whipping it around like a
Yeah. Yeah.
ball, and then you're having to walk from front to back while keeping your booty up. We can just do our back pose, keep our butts up, but you have to
Yeah.
actually walk to the back and show them your glute and hamstring while you're walking. That's
Yeah.
hard. How often do you pose? How do you pose every day? Like, do you stop posing? Do you only pose whenever you're competing?
Well, now that I'm getting ready for the Olympia, I've taken this posing thing a lot serious because that was like one of my feedbacks, and it
Yeah.
was more like I've gotten feedback like, oh, you don't need a vacuum on stage because your waist looks alienish, like the random like stuff like that. So like I like had to really adjust my posing to my physique, and I think it was also like I don't want to say in the beginning definitely hide my upper body, but now it's more about like now that I've like had like some atrophy happen and the upper body has come down, it's now like posing to shape, so
Right.
creating better S shapes and stuff like that for me. But it's definitely adjustment. Now I practice a lot more, so I try to practice at least 6 days a week, and whether that's like 15, 20 minutes. And then I have like one full like hour and a half on Sundays that I just go, it's just posing. And it's squeezing, flexing, comparisons, just, you know, running the drill back to back to back to back just to make sure that, you know, it's mind and memory. And I think it's so, you know what's, I think I've always found this very hard about posing for me. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, Novia, because I know you have a dance background too. But because I was a cheerleader and everything was an 8 count, I feel like it's so hard for me because I can't get fluid.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want it to be like 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6, and so I think that that was something I really had to like make an adjustment with because it's not that type of rigid
Oh,
posing, right? It's
yes.
not the same. So
Yeah.
I really wanted to make this routine for the Olympia a lot more fluid and less like bring it on, you know? So
I know because there's millions and billions of girls, even in the pro league, that do their routine with whatever category, and they think that it's a dance, you know, and
yeah,
especially wellness too, especially the ones that don't really know what the category requires. They don't do their homework. They're not really, you know, paying attention to the sport. They'll get up
yeah.
there and they'll, you know, they will literally be dancing, and it's like you didn't hold one pose the whole time. You were just doing a salsa routine. Like it's crazy. I'm so glad you said that and how often you're practicing posing because we know at the end of the day we can be doing all this hard ass work, dieting our motherfucking asses off, but if we don't pose the correct way, they're not going to choose us. We get 1 second, if that, for them to look at us and be in that pose the right way. So I'm proud of you for posing and you know taking that critique and actually working towards it because posing is
Yeah.
not it's not
It's
easy.
not. It's the hardest part, in my opinion, because you
I,
again, you can pose, you can have a great physique, and I've had this happen to me a few times, where judges have came to me like, "Yeah, you could have won the show, but you need to learn to pose better." I remember I got third place at muscle contest. It was
oh,
my second pro show ever. It was the year I went to Olympia, and I remember Tamar was like, "Yeah, you need to." He told me you need to pose more like Candace Lewis.
oh,
he he was like, you have such an athletic frame like her. He compared it in the sense of like athleticism, like the look. He's like, but you gotta pose to your physique. And then I think that was the first time it clicked in my head, like, yes, posing is like needs to be done. It needs to be done like a ritual because it's just as important as that food you're eating and that cardio you're doing. Because if you go on stage and you can't present your physique well, then you're kind of not doing yourself a service. You miss the whole ball game, the whole point of the sport itself, which is a presentation. So
it brought all
I'm
this.
definitely taking it a lot more serious this time around because I definitely want to execute better on that.
Absolutely. I think that's an excellent plan. Um, so please, 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 please tell the folks exactly what wellness is. What is the division? What is the criteria? I've always tell so many girls who come up to me and say, well, I'm going to do wellness, I'm going to do wellness. And that's great. I completely support it. But do you really know exactly what wellness is? And a lot of people think for some strange odd reason that, well, I've got big legs, so I could just do wellness. And not really realizing that I always say, actually go to a pro show and really see what these women look like because it's not just big legs. These legs are still solid muscle. They're
Yeah,
conditioned. They're lean. They're just as lean as bigger women's physique. Those legs are hard. It's not just big
yeah.
legs, bunch of
And
body
I
fat.
think I think that was kind of like, and I do see a lot of figure girls switching that have natural like A frame, like great frames, and I'm like, why are you switching? Just because you have big legs, like you have like great structure for figure in general. I mean, people can probably argue that about me, but I personally feel like if you can't get conditioned in one division, do not switch to another division thinking it's going to be softer because I think the hardest thing about wellness is that you can come in super rock hard, but you need to maintain that fullness. So that's even harder. You need to be conditioned and still have lines and everything, but you still need to be able to have that fullness at the same time. So you can't look shredded thin, you know? You still need to have like very like deep insertions, but like still full. Like you need to be full, you know? So I think it's a very intricate thing to do and a very hard way to peak, because one minute you're looking at you like I'm super shredded, but you know you need to fill out because
Right.
you're going to be too shredded on stage. Like you don't want to like your legs to come in. I think my first show I ever did was Pittsburgh Pro last year, and I was shredded to T. Like I probably could have did figure that day.
Yeah.
And personally, I loved it. Let me not take that. And like I loved it, but it wasn't the division. Do you get what I'm saying? Like you have to learn like the division. I think like people think that wellness is easier because they don't have to worry about their upper body, but you kind of do, because you don't want your upper body to be like too overpowering to your lower body. You don't want it to be just as dominant as your lower body. So you have to, it's really a fine line. But
Right.
I think the biggest thing I see is like girls switching divisions that
Mm-hmm.
have not got conditioned in wellness. And I'm like, and not wellness in figure. And then they're switching to wellness. And I'm like, but you couldn't get your hamstring and glute tie in from the back in figure. How do
Right.
you think, like, why are you moving to wellness thinking that that's just going to be achieved? I think you should master whatever your division is and then decide if you need to move into structural imbalance or it doesn't fit your genetics, you know?
Right.
I think, but I do see that, and I'm just like, I kind of don't understand that. But
Right.
again, to each his own. Like I always say too, this is a hobby, so do what you love, do what makes you happy. But
Mm-hmm.
I do think that since you're spending time, money, energy, you know, your emotion, mental, all that is invested in this, at least put yourself in a position to be as successful as possible in the right division, correct division.
Right. So when it comes to wellness, what you're saying is that you still, just because your lower body now has to be more dominant than your upper body, it has to be bigger, because we know with figure everything is about balance. Your upper and your lower have to,
Correct.
upper body and your lower body pretty much have to be the same size, same amount of muscle, same 3D, everything. It's pretty
Right.
much the same thing in wellness. Now you're just looking at a different structural body. So now you're looking at somebody that has a smaller upper body than their lower body, but they're still just as balanced with the conditioning.
And I
With
say this to
the
people all the time. Yeah, I don't know why people think the wellness is so asymmetrical. It's not like that. Maybe it's not as like big as popping delts or like density. The density, yes, the density might be less. But I think if you look at like Francielli, Issa,
mm-hmm.
these girls are proportionate. I don't really find them asymmetrical at all. Like their bodies are very proportionate all around, from conditioning to size and symmetry, all of it. I don't really find them asymmetrical at all. And personally, I mean, I don't think you want to be that asymmetrical to where your lower body is that dominant.
Yeah,
But I do feel
really
like
just
I,
posing shows it off differently. So like because your
yeah,
back is small at all, but the way that you present your back for the category makes it seem like it's smaller than your lower half, which is what they want, just to make it look
yeah,
appealing and more attractive. But I agree, y'all, you still have a big ass back. You know what I mean? It's not
yeah,
tiny.
yeah.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's very, very
I think
true.
it's just a difference in density. Like, yes, we'll go maybe a little less upper body density, yes.
Yeah.
But as far as like symmetry and like as far as balance, I think the top girls are pretty balanced, and I think that's why they're the top girls, because they're balanced. You can't really structurally be like, okay, well, you need to add a little more here, there. Like they're pretty balanced. They look solid in each pose, and I think that's what you really kind of want to go for. You want to go for that shape.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think if people really the fundamentals of bodybuilding, which is going to be your symmetry, condition, like all the fundamentals itself, like that is like one of the primary is symmetry and shape. So like I don't know why people knock that off in wellness, but it's a thing. If you want to be competitive, it's a thing. Let's say
Yeah.
that.
Y'all heard. She's qualified to the Olympia, so she knows what she's talking about. If you're listening and you want to do wellness, you want to take notes, because this is very important to be a top athlete. You need to be complete all the way around from top to bottom. It's not
But
just everything.
yeah, no, for sure. And granted, like maybe I focus a lot on a lower body, but that's because my upper body's there. Really, to keep it conditioned, I just need to do like more performance workouts or athletic training to like get the conditioning for my upper body. But it's there. So it's not like I don't need to put a lot of blood to the muscles. I don't need to constantly be putting blood flow there, because I don't necessarily want my upper body to be that big. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to keep putting density in that area. But I definitely don't want to be asymmetrical either. So that just was never my thing, even going into division, like, you know. But going back to like the original question, which is like, what do I think of wellness or what wellness stands for? I think it's still developing. I think there's a different look than what they were doing in Brazil in the beginning. If you study it, and I've studied a little bit, you know, YouTube videos and watched it, I think it is a little different in the States, what they're
Okay.
judging for, what they're looking for as far as the top girls. So I don't think it's the same meaning as it was before. I think it's still developing, and I think it's still brand new. Like, this is the only second Olympia for wellness. I think they're still looking to see what they want to define as wellness, in my opinion. So I think it's all hands on deck for all the competitors. Like, if you show up and you bring the physique that they think that looks good and they want to make the standard, they're going to make it the standard. Because I don't think there's a true standard yet. I think if you look at the top 5 girls, they all have different shapes, different structures, you know, different glute shapes, everything. So I think it's like, just bring your A game. And I think that's my preaching to anyone who wants to be, you know, great in this division. Like, bring your A game and bring it the way you want to bring it. Because I don't think there's a true staple on who's what yet, you know. I think
Right.
it's very, I mean, we can say there's top girls, yes, but I don't think that they have like a true, like, this is the pillar. Like, we, you know, we kind of like have our pillars in every division. Like, we go to classic, we're like, oh, C-Bum, he's the pillar. Like, this is the epitome of it, you know. Like, there's
Right.
pillars for each division. And I think that wellness is one of those divisions that is still developing in the States, and they're still developing what that pillar will look like. Who's going to be that trophy person? Who's going to, this is what we want and expect. I think it's still developing. So I think that to be true to yourself, I think it's just bring what you feel you could bring to stage and
Right.
present it well. And, you know, it's all game. It's fair game. It's fair
Well,
game. The
they
top five's forever changing.
will be amped when you get to the Olympia, that's for sure.
Yeah.
'Cause you are dope. I promise you, I really do see you being top 3 Olympia this year.
I
I,
still got some work to do. I'm working. Let me tell you, I'm working, but I got some work to do. Like, I would say, like, a lot of these girls have light years on me. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, it's like learning a new sport when you're in wellness. It's a very, yeah, I know how to lift. I know how to do this. You know, whatever. I've been bodybuilding for a long time, but just peaking is different. You know, how you train your glutes are different. Like, there's a lot of things that are different about it. So it's like, to me, I don't come in here like
it's
I
a
come
top.
like a novice. I come like a novice, but I'm coming hungry at the same time. And that's
Mhm.
okay too. Like, I could be novice and hungry at the same time. So I'm still learning. Let's put it that way. I'm definitely still learning my
Hey,
body, learning how to, you know, excel in the division, because it's forever changing
I
right
like how
now.
you
really,
are.
and that should
You're a badass. You're a badass. Yep.
that should honestly be the mentality for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, sports always changing, the industry is always changing. You can always learn something, so that's an excellent mentality to actually have.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's just fair. Like, I get, like, this is such a subjective sport, and at the end of the day, it's like, it's who the judges like and want. So it's like, make the judges want you.
Right.
That's all I look at it. Make them
Exactly.
want you. Like, show them what you're working with. Because at
Right.
the end of the day, again, we're not getting, you know, this is not, I scored more baskets than you. You know, I did more hops than you. This is literally like, they are judging you based on the standards of each division, and that's how you're getting your placements, and that's how you're being judged, you know. So it's very subjective, but, you know, at the end of the day, like, you went into bodybuilding knowing that. So again, just bring the best you can bring, you know. And that's how I look at it.
And we were going to ask you too, what some words of wisdom that you would give, to the audience, but you like you just that was
You just
awesome. Wow, real. Seriously, you have to keep
well,
it.
then my question would be, are you planning to do anything before the Olympia, or are we just going straight into the O?
Straight into the O, I think I've
Oh,
been
wait, wait.
learning my body.
Who's,
Oh, we had the same coach.
who's
We
your
had the
coach?
same coach. We had the same
Y'all better shout him out.
coach. Johnny.
Uh,
Yeah, but no, I'm gonna just go straight to Olympia. I'm not gonna do anything before. Honestly, I don't think my body's primed to do anything before. Like, Very short off season for me. So I did what I could. I could build a little. You seen, well, I met up with Z when she was in New York, and I was like kind of panicking, like I need to put on a little bit more size. I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's too short a time, you know. But I think I'm doing what I can do. I'm working with what I got, you know, and I think that's the most important part. So I definitely am not gonna try to do anything before the Olympia. Just really focus on detail now at this point. Better hamstring glute tie-in for myself, and like everyone wishes and prays for, you know. But because that's what they're looking
Put,
at.
put your
Oh,
hand down, man.
I want
No.
a heart underneath my butt.
So I'm just working on that. I think that's my biggest thing right now is just better insertions from the back and deeper, you know, more pop to the glutes. And I think that's just going to come with, again, just more detail work. So that's what I've been like kind of working on. And then when I get the proper time to do a full off season, which is like the biggest difference. When I did figure, I didn't compete back to back like this. I didn't do like, you know, only that 1 year I went to Olympia, I did a lot of shows, and that burnt me out, and I learned my lesson. But clearly, I didn't learn it when I went to wellness. Because I came back and I did a whole bunch of shows because my ego was just going. I was like, I can do this, I can do this. And then, you know, I just learned that your body needs time, you know, like, and again, this is a sport where the stage is always there. Like, do the work, do the time, and then come back and bring it. And I think that that's just like something I need to like practice and preach on my own now, and just really focus on that post Olympia. Really just take that time off, go back into the building phase. If I continue to compete, you know, I'm really kind of getting on the older side. I'm kind of like, I'm missing life. But,
I'm just
If you're old, and I'm old. I'm 31, so no,
we
we're not.
do this
we're
right.
around the same age. We're around the same age, but I do truly think that you know, I'm not gonna be in a rush for this next package after Olympia. Like it's gonna be like, okay, we're gonna work on building whatever parts I need to build up to be competitive, if that's the route I'm gonna go, and then get back onto the board and get into the game again. You know, like, but right now I think the goal is just to come to Olympia with a little more improved package with, you know, better hamstring glute tie-in and stuff like that.
You're very, very headstrong. Like you're extremely, focused. You know exactly what you want. You're doing your research on your own division. Like not that many people would be doing what you're doing, to excel in their sport and to get at the top. And you've done that. You said your career has taken off extremely fast and you're
Yeah.
continuing to take it up extremely fast because you're always on your A game. So we want to say thank you so much for just coming on, and talking to us and motivating,
Yeah.
giving us your point of view on everything and why you switched categories. And we want to wish you the best of luck on your journey to the Olympia.
Same to you guys, because you guys are killing it. I felt like I told Z. I think after I watched you guys live with Candace Carter, I was just like, "Yo, that was so dope." I was like, "Keep doing what you're doing." I was like, "If you ever need me to come on, I'll talk and spread some love." But I
Yeah.
really was inspired by you guys' live. Like it was really good. I think that you guys are doing really great with this platform, and I pray that it takes off and it takes you guys far places and puts you guys in great places too. Because I think, giving back is a big thing, and I think most people don't look at it from that perspective. But giving back to the people it's a big thing. It's a big thing. It's a good thing, So keep doing what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
You keep doing what you're doing. Definitely want to thank you again for coming on. Everybody, also, thank you for tuning in. And the continuous support has been amazing. The platform is just growing every day, every week. Again, we're trying to make this the official NPC IFBB figure platform where this is how you get to know the figure athletes. This is where you're going to be able to really see them shine, not only our pros, but our NPC, which is our future of our division. So we're definitely trying to push that as much as possible. And let's not forget about our Masters. Again, we do have Masters Olympia coming. We do not have a set date or place yet, but that is definitely something that is in the works. And as we get information, you will get information.
Yeah.
Be sure to make sure that you enter for that Squeeze Me Skinny giveaway. It is coming to an end. We will be announcing the winner this Sunday, along with our special guest, Latoria, Miss Two-Time Olympia Watts.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Just keep looking for the post. You know, get in that squeeze me skinny before I get it, and I hope I get chose. Thank you
You
so much.
can't win it.
I know you already got like 50.
I do.
All right, ladies. See you guys. Have a
Bye.
good evening.
Later.
Bye.